most people suck at setting and achieving goals. When's the last time that you actually set a goal that you achieved? I know this has been a problem for me. How you get yourself to go from not believing that it's possible, the audacious, grandiose, massive goals that you have for yourself. So if you're in that situation where you feel like you always set goals and then either just fall short or you're just not achieving them, or if you don't set goals at all, or even if you set goals for yourself and you have the habit of achieving them, this process I think is going to allow you to be able to set goals much higher for yourself, get yourself to believe them, and then actually ensure the highest likelihood of achieving those goals. So I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step process that has worked pretty well for me. I'm hoping that it can be of some value to you. So that's what we're going to talk about. Okay. All right. Should we do this? My name's Hayden Schaap, and I'm obsessed with manipulation. Okay. I'm obsessed with manipulating your mind so that you can get yourself to unlock your potential. And I'm obsessed with what it takes to manipulate within your own personality, your body language, voice, and the words that you're saying so that you can influence people to do good things in their life. So everything from personal development in a character-based way and the science behind it, the philosophy behind it, the psychology behind it, all the way to persuasion and influence and leadership. I'm obsessed with all those processes, what it takes to actually become the best version of yourself in a truth-centered, principle-centered way. Ooh, what is this, eucalyptus? You might be wondering why I have canned oxygen here. That's actually part of it. I'm stacking some neuroscience, breathing, neurofeedback, meditation type techniques, and we're pulling from all of these different sources. And over the last 3 years, I've developed a process that has made it so that I've been able to double my own sales production when I was an individual sales production year over year. And now it's starting to go exponential. All of the sales reps that I coach that I've taught this process to, they see massive increases in their results year to year. So I'm hoping that as I share it, you guys will be able to benefit from it as well. Knocking doors, cold calling people, like the craziest, hardest sales job you could do. Fed up and sick of not achieving the goals that I was setting for myself year in and year out. I started to look around and say, like, who could I model my behavior after to go and try to do some audacious stuff with my life? Because I'm not going to settle for this mediocrity crap, okay? What I decided to do was go study the greats in sports, in business, and in a few different other aspects of life. One thing that stood out to me was that when I was studying these high performers, specifically people like Tom Brady, that they're so meticulous about all of their processes, right? I was watching this video on Facebook where Tom Brady is, I don't even know how many years into his career. He's 40 years old. Tom Brady was working with his quarterback coach where he was practicing this one little movement that his hand was doing after he was doing the follow through of his throw. And I realized, like, if I want to go do something awesome and then therefore teach people how to do something awesome, create an awesome life for myself, I should probably model people like Tom Brady, right? Get meticulous about the details. My problem is I'm not achieving my goals. And if that's how you're feeling, then I think this next part's going to be super helpful for you. First off, I think it's really helpful to understand what is the process of setting and achieving any goal, where it's basically 3 steps. So if you go watch people like Bob Proctor, however you feel about The Secret, I don't really care for like how people view The Secret, right? The go manifest stuff into your life. It's like I close my eyes and I just manifest this into my life. As I take more hits of oxygen, I just get myself to believe and somehow like, oh, look, I made $1 million, right? Here's the deal. There's the 3-step process. And one of the things that he says I really like, actually. The first thing that happens when you set a goal is you actually start fantasizing about it. You have an impulse of thought that your mind just latches to. That then becomes a goal. You set that goal as a standard for yourself. Now, what stops people from setting goals? Well, Jordan Peterson says goals are harsh judges. And so when you set up a standard for your success, you also therefore set up a standard for your failure, which is why it's so hard when you don't achieve the goals, right? And then you get discouraged and you stop setting them. And that's exactly what was happening to me. You just take a hit of this oxygen, and that's all you need in your life really is the high of oxygen. I have asthma, so my lungs suck. One of the reasons why I started doing this, but then you're going to see how this fits into the goal repetition process, the entrainment process here in a second, okay? The next step in that process or the framework is actually building the blueprint. So if you're going to go build your dream house, you first start dreaming about what you want in that dream house, and then you go build the blueprint, right? Bob Proctor calls this the theory stage of achievement. From there, you work your way down into the reality. Even if you go do that and you come up with the things that you want in your life, something seems to break along the way, right? From the idea to the blueprint and the theory to the reality, what happens that makes it so you don't go achieve the things you say for yourself? So that I was frustrated because I was just not achieving my goals year in and year out. What you realize is you have this gourmet, top of the line buffet, best food you could possibly have, vision for your life, and you have these McDonald's fast food crap standards at the end of the day when this happens over and over again. So let's get right into the tools that I use and how we actually go about taking a thought, something that you're latching onto that you want to achieve, and then this step-by-step process with tools stacked together and protocols that will make it so that you ensure the highest likelihood of being able to actually achieve the goals that you set for yourself. So here's the tools in the process. All right, take a drink of my salt water here. This is actually salt water. That's another video though. What we're going to talk about right now is the tools, the protocols that we stack in order to ensure the highest likelihood of achieving a goal through this specific process that I'm about to show you. Through the use of repetition, he says auto-suggestion is the term that he uses. You'd be able to actually implant within your mind and get yourself to activate the reticular activating system in order to go achieve the actual goal that you have for yourself. Okay, so this isn't some magical thing. This is like when I want to go buy a car, I want to go buy a Tesla, and all of a sudden I start noticing Teslas everywhere. Well, when you get your mind to believe that you want something and that you will have it at all costs, like Napoleon Hill says, you just start noticing all the tools that you need to go get it. So this is the process of getting ourselves to believe that, okay? There's one thing that we need to for sure understand here is that our minds are most susceptible at a certain brainwave length, if that's how you say it. And I'm not a neuroscientist, so like, don't judge me for using the wrong terminology here, okay? But basically, when we're in different states of awareness or consciousness, our brain waves are at different frequencies. So when we're most focused, it's at one frequency. When we're about to get into a state of deep sleep, it goes into a different frequency. When we're in a state of meditation, it's in a completely different frequency. When your brain is in fear, your brain waves are in a different frequency. What's the optimal brainwave frequency in order to be susceptible to learning new things? Based on my research and from what I understand, and I'm not a neuroscientist, it's theta waves or maybe even delta waves, okay? Joe Dispenza and then many neuroscientists have proven that when children are young, up until about the age of 8 years old, give or take a couple of years depending on the child, their brain waves are in this state that allows them to be very creative. If you listen to sounds, like when you're playing music, all you're hearing in those sounds is different frequencies of sound waves, right? And then I was like, okay, what's another way to do that? Well, breathing. Breathing is another way that you can actually change your brain waves. People are all about WHIMHOFF, right? It's like, okay, maybe we'll stack those two together, right? Because if I can go read my goal or come up with that goal or think about it while I am stacking the protocols to get my mind to be most susceptible, for sure that's going to be the way to do it. Napoleon Hill talks about every morning and night reading out loud the goal back to yourself. If you can actually hear your own voice, like the vibrations of your own voice, that it will start to train your mind to believe that it is possible, that you will have at all costs the thing that you want. And especially the caveat is that thing has to evoke and be very meaningful to you, evoke an emotion that's really powerful. This is about re-scripting ourselves, right? You can actually re-script yourself with this process. So what I did was the first thing, this is before I get to the oxygen and the other crazy stuff here too, because I added a couple different protocols just recently that have totally blown my mind, absolute breakthroughs that I want to show you guys. I take my statement of definite purpose, which is what I call it, and I record it with my own voice into this app called Think Up. I record each one of these sections as a different track in Think Up. So my identity, my mission, my desired outcome that's time-based and emotion tied to it, what I'm giving in return for the goal, what I'll do with the money if that's part of it, and then the visualization, me future pacing myself. Once I do that, now I'm going to play this back to myself on repeat morning and night. Then I turn on binaural beats, and this app is just called binaural beats, and I set this frequency right between theta, which is meditation, and deep sleep, so like right at the cusp, usually 4 hertz on the top beat frequency. And then the tone frequency, it doesn't really matter what the tone frequency is unless there's some science I don't understand there, but the tone frequency I set at about 232 hertz because it's just a more pleasant sound for me. It's really interesting because it just sounds kind of strange. Like, listen to this. It's just like these buzzing beat sounds. It's really weird. On top of that, I go into Spotify, so you can play all those at the same time. And I turn on an instrumental track that is like meaningful and emotional to me. I have a spiritual song that I really like that I put. It's called Our Savior's Love. Now I open WIMHOFF. I open up and I just do the retention timer, where now I can actually time my breath holds. So in WIMHOFF, we're gonna do it's like controlled hyperventilation, basically. And I do about 40 breaths and then hold it. And then as soon as I feel like I really need to breathe, I just can't hold it anymore, I'm about to pass out, I hold for about 7 to 10 seconds longer. Sometimes I try to do 15. I'm really gonna just focus on the words that I'm hearing from myself and just hear the repetition of those words. And especially when it gets into the visualization part, I imagine myself this amount of money coming into my bank account. I can see myself getting that last sale, knowing that that's the hallmark sale, signifying that I accomplished my goal. Very, very powerful, okay? So I do 3 or 4 rounds of this ideally in the morning. And then at night, typically I'll do this whole process, but without Wim Hof. I'll do some sort of more relaxation breathing because I just get so hyped with this that like I can't go to sleep typically. The times that I've done this for 3 years straight, I've just overshot the audacious goals that I've had. And when I set the goals, I did not believe that I'd be able to achieve them, but I wanted them really bad. It helped me become someone different and believe that I could actually go do it, that I had it within me, and that if I didn't, I could go leverage tools, systems, processes, and network with others to make it happen. But something crazy happened to me lately that I want to share with you as well. As I was doing Wim Hof, I got COVID recently, and it really affected my lungs because I have asthma as well. So like my blood oxygen level was really low. So I didn't want to stop doing Wim Hof during that time because it actually helped me fight it off quicker. I started using oxygen while I was breathing. So you can just get this oxygen on Amazon, I think. And even if you don't have it, it still works. The next thing that I do, it comes from neuro-linguistic programming. I activate the olfactory system. Jordan Belfort talks about this a ton as well. In fact, so I have this winter fresh scent that reminds me of gum that my grandmother used to give me when I was younger. My family could really never afford getting extra stuff, even like gum when I was a kid. So this scent reminds me of what I always wanted to try to go have for my life, even something as simple as gum. The last thing that I just added that is super powerful is Muse, okay? So I just bought this Muse sleep headband to help me sleep. What Muse does is it's a neurofeedback program that plays a meditation and it tracks your brain waves. The sounds that you hear change, and it helps you train yourself to get into this place of calm, into the theta waves, right? And it even tracks like how often are you in the heightened state of brain activity, how often are you in a neutral state of brain activity, and how often are you in a calm state of brain activity. I got this just to help me sleep, but then this morning, as I was getting home from the gym, about ready to come and give a training at work, I put this guy on, all right? This looks so weird. Put this on, put on my app. My first meditation on, and I'm pretty good at being able to control my emotional state, my mental state, so like I did okay. My first meditation though on Muse, I kind of sucked. Every time you recover here in your brain waves, so like every time you go from being active and you pull it back down to calm or neutral, you get like this little star, and it's called recoveries, and like it makes you feel really good, right? Anytime you go from where you're in a state of calm that's so deep, you start to hear these birds chirp. So it's like you're really, really calm. On my first meditation in Muse, I only got one little birdie to chirp, okay? Just one, which means I had my mind in a state of neutral to calm, like neutral mostly, but a little bit of calm. And then my next meditation, I did like a little bit better, got a couple more little birdies, right? It's cool because it changes the sounds that you're hearing based on where your brainwaves are at. Look what happened though when I was actually doing this whole process that I just described to you. So this morning I track it and look at this. Look how many little birdies. Almost the entire time, my mind was in a state of being susceptible to new beliefs, new systems, new processes, new ways of doing things, new learning, new ideas, chasing away all the fear, all the anxiety, all of the like, oh, but what if, oh, the past. That's what this represented and showed. You guys should just go try this and let me know what you think. You don't need any grandiose process for the goal or like have it written out in a 10-page document. Just go record your own voice, saying what you want back to yourself. Do Wim Hof, download binaural beats, it's free, listen to it, and then a track that you really like that's instrumental, and do that day in and day out. Napoleon Hill says everyone that he studied, from Thomas Edison to Andrew Carnegie, all of the high achievers who were the wealthiest men in the world at that time, all of them said that it was not hard to do what they did. The only thing that it took was the repetition of their desired outcome day in and day out. Persistence in that repetition. And that's what I found for myself too. Achieving the actual goal is so easy once you've convinced yourself that you'll have it at all costs. All I want you to do is go apply this. Subscribe to my channel if you like what I'm doing here. I really appreciate it. And like this video, and let me know if there's any other processes you'd like to learn about. And I'll see you guys on the next one.